SoFi stock is down on a 1-day span, a 5-day span, a 1-month span, a 6-month span, a year-to-date span, a 1-year span, and of course a 5-year span ever since the company went public through their SPAC merger. It has been only down for SoFi recently. As of recording this video, the stock is all the way down to $6.46. And I hate to say it, but SoFi stock is probably going to be dead money, meaning it's range bound, sitting somewhere in the 6s or 7s, all the way until one specific thing happens. And we're going to talk about that one specific thing in this video. But first, before we get into all that, if you're new here, I'm Austin. I'm a co-owner of cloudmusicsuite.com. I'm also a stock market investor. And most importantly for this video, I am a SoFi shareholder. It is one of my largest holdings in my entire portfolio. So needless to say, I am very bullish on SoFi, but that doesn't change the fact that it is down on all those spans and it might be dead money for a little while. Real quick, if you're not subscribed to the channel, become one of those 4,200 or so people and drop a like on the video. Helps the channel out in a massive way. All right, let's get into it. So as a long-term SoFi shareholder, in the past, I had criticized SoFi management team for not focusing on profits sooner because I felt that focusing on profits would be what SoFi needed in order to get that massive leg up in the share price. And when I was talking about that, the stock price was actually higher than it is today, which is kind of ridiculous to think about. After I made that commentary public here on YouTube, there were a couple more quarters of SoFi posting negative EPS numbers, and then they guided that Q4 of 2023 was going to be profitable, and they delivered on that. They recorded GAAP profits in Q4 of 2023, and then they did it again in Q1 of 2024. And in their guidance, they said all of 2024, 2025, and 2026 is going to be profitable, with those EPS numbers growing massively all the way up into the 55 to 80 cent per share range by 2026. That EPS growth guidance is extremely impressive. It's very impressive also that they were able to flip from net losses to net profit while we're in this tight economic time with these extremely high rates, inflation still elevated, and generally the consumer being in not a great spot. I thought that was going to be the massive catalyst to move SoFi up in the short and medium term and elevate it in a lot of investors' eyes, because as we know, many investors and institutions will never touch an unprofitable company, which is a pretty good idea unless you can see the path forward to profitability and you believe in the management team's vision and their guidance and you think they're going to deliver on that. I believed that. I bought SoFi before they were profitable. They have delivered on that, but it hasn't made the share price move up in any substantial way. And in fact, the share price has actually moved down since those EPS numbers were posted. So even though the fundamentals of the company at SoFi are better than they have ever been in the past, the company has never flipped to profits until Q4 2023 and now Q1 2024 once again, and they're expected to stay profitable. They've never been in that position before. They used to be a massive money-losing company. The revenue growth is still at insane percentages, 20, 30, 40% range on revenue growth. And they're still beating analyst expectations every single quarter in and quarter out. So if strengthening and improving fundamentals are not going to move a stock price up, a lot of times if that's the case, the reason the stock price is depressed is not due to fundamentals. It's due to something in the macroeconomic environment. Macroeconomic environment right now is tight. We've got high rates. That's hurting lending. That's hurting the consumer. We've still got high inflation. That also hurts the consumer. What SoFi needs desperately to happen in order for the share price to move up is for rates to come down. Fed funds rate needs to come down so that people go out there and borrow more money and SoFi stops being so worried about the macroeconomic environment. They're declining 80% of people who apply for loans right now, meaning only 20% of applicants are actually getting their loan funded through SoFi. The good thing about this is that we just got the May CPI numbers recently. On a year-over-year basis, we had 3.3% inflation, but on a month-over-month basis, we actually had an unchanged inflation rate from April to May of 2024, meaning a 0.0% inflation rate. If you don't know anything about the Fed, they target a 2% inflation rate on an annual basis. So we're still a good amount higher than that at the 3.3% on an annualized basis, but that month over month number of 0.0% increase is the lowest we've had since July of 2022, where it was also a 0.0% increase. If we can string together multiple months of unchanged inflation, or maybe a 0.1 or a 0.2, then we're going to get over the next 12 months very close to or at the Fed target of a 2% inflation rate. The closer we get to that 2% inflation rate, the more the Fed is going to talk about rate cuts. The more the Fed talks about rate cuts, the more the market starts to price in those rate cuts, which means the rate sensitive companies, obviously SoFi is one of those, start to move up in a massive way. And then once that first rate cut is announced, we're probably going to see a crazy pop in the stock price for SoFi, which is very much overdue at this point in a lot of investors' eyes. Until we see those CPI numbers get closer and closer to the 2%, and as a result, the Fed talks about cutting rates, SoFi stock is going to be dead money until that happens. They've proven that. The stock has proven that. Fundamentals don't seem to matter right now. It doesn't matter that their net income growth is in the 300% range. It doesn't matter that their revenue growth is 30+%. It doesn't matter that their net profit margin has increased by nearly 300% either. All these insane growth rate numbers don't matter right now. So clearly the thing that matters is those rates. So we're just going to be range bound for quite a while. SoFi might be dead money for a little while, all the way until we get those rate cuts coming in. We might see SoFi go as high as $8. We might see SoFi go as low as the low sixes. Getting out of that band anytime soon before we get the news of rate cuts coming is very unlikely. If you see any other massive catalysts out there for SoFi stock, let me know in the comments below. It's totally possible that I'm just missing something and I haven't thought about that specific thing that you think might move SoFi up in the short term. Of course, I'm a long-term shareholder. I am way more interested in what's going to happen with SoFi over the next 3 to 5 to 7 years than I am over the next 3 to 5 to 7 months. But let me know if I'm missing something in the comments below. That's one of my favorite parts of posting here on YouTube, is talking to you guys down there, checking out your comments, and having some conversation. Let me know if you're selling SoFi stock, buying SoFi stock, holding SoFi stock, or shorting SoFi stock. There actually is a very high short percentage, so it's possible that someone watching this video is holding shares short right now. Looking forward to seeing your comments. Glad you were here. Thanks so much for stopping by. Have an amazing day.